As fans, we can look at it and go, well, we've got this and we want that. So let's make a trade and then cool, move on. I just think the elephant in the room will constantly be that the Warriors would like the money to go down.
Yeah.
The Warriors would like the money to go down.
You think, Mark? Because I ran the numbers. You asked me to run the numbers.
So what did they pay this year in salary and tax?
Well, they paid in salary $200.3 million in total cap allocations, and they paid $169.9 in taxes, a grand total of $370.3 million.
Okay, so 370.3. And Joe Lacob was, I guess, comfortable with that. I don't know if he loved it, but
off a championship,
he did it.
Comfortable-ish.
He did it.
Next year, if Draymond and Dante both opt in, and all these numbers are according to Spotrac or Spotrac, depending on how you want to pronounce it. I prefer Spotrac. Next year, salary total cap allocations $235.7, and the luxury tax $235.5.
470.
A grand total of $471.2 million. So you go from 370 to 470. So, hey, Joe, we were a second-round ouster. You got another $100 million so we can run this back?
So this,
Joe, you still there?
Steve,
you still there?
You're fired. They're not doing that.
Joe?
They're not doing that. But what would they be comfortable doing? This is, I guess, what we're talking about. This is what we're talking about all offseason. The Golden State Warriors need to figure out a way to trim salary and get better all at the same time. Whew. Now if that isn't an American story, I don't know what is. Tell me the company or the family that's not looking to improve and cut money. They're not. That's everybody. That's all of us. That's what the Warriors are trying to do. And it's super hard.
Impossible.
Not impossible.
No, it's impossible.
I don't think it is. Well,
I'm going to use E's numbers because Evan Giddings on in place of Guru earlier, Steiny and Guru, he mentioned that their tax threshold's about 4.5 times every dollar you're over. Going into next year, right now, with Dante and Draymond, you're $48.7 million over the cap.
Okay.
So that 48.7 times about 4.5, that gets you your luxury tax bill of $235 million.
Okay, so
you need to cut 48.7 from your payroll and still be good.
Well, you're not.
I'll wait.
You don't need to cut 48.7 because the Warriors will play over the tax. They always have, and I think that they will again next year. I don't think that's the sole goal. But let's remove Dante. He's opting out.
All right, now you're down to 44 flat that you need to trim.
Right, but it's not 44 from 48 because that $4 million that you saved times 4.5, right? Because you're also
no. I'm giving you the net number.
I know, but the luxury tax number comes out also. So if they were to keep Dante,
I get what you're saying.
$4 million turns into 22. Now
correct.
So if he leaves and opts out, that number, that 472 that you just said, you can wipe away the salary and the tax.
Okay, so that brings you down
$26 million off the book.
Roughly. So so now instead of 470, you're looking at about 444.
Okay, Draymond Green, sit down right here, young man. I know you got a little gray in your beard, but I want to talk to you. How about if we're going to do 3 years and just opt out, forget your 27 over here. We would like to do a 3-year deal for $60 million. 3 years, $60 million. And in that year one, we're not doing 2020, okay? Let's do 18, 2022. So that 18, now we're going to go $9 million less than what was on the books, plus the 4.5 times, which is 37, 38. So that's another $46 million we can take off the total.
So, Joe, and I'll play Draymond, and you can play Joe for this conversation.
Don't punch me. I know that's not what you want to hear.
I didn't mean to ball my hand into a fist, but I was trying to figure out financially. I didn't want to give you the middle finger because I respect you, Joe, and we've been champions together. But so what you're saying, Mr. Lacob, is you're asking me to take a pay cut of about 33% next year, and then the year after, I don't really get that back. With all due respect, Mr. Lacob, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach.
All right, well,
and by South Beach, I mean L.A. in the crypt.
I think there's a negotiation sensation that can happen there. Maybe that ends up more at 70. Maybe even ends up at 75.
Yeah.
Okay? And if it great. So there is a way. In fact, I think even if you only trim $3-4 million off of next year's salary, that's actually going to turn into 20 to 25 that comes off of that luxury tax bill, right? Okay. So
I see you working.
Just play with me on this
I see
one.
you working.
Where were we? We were at about 440.
Yeah, we're down to about 410 now.
Okay, now we're down to 410.
Because you're paying Draymond. Right. You're somehow convincing Day to play for 20, and then maybe 30 in the third year.
No. Or let's go 24, 25, 26.
Okay.
Okay? All right. So now we're down to 410. Call Jordan's agent. Jordan, don't have him come in. He's not going to like this. Call Jordan's agent. Jordan, you've been traded to the Toronto Raptors.
Man.
For
Chris Boucher.
No, I'm not just like
Siakam.
Here comes Anunoby or something. Who makes less? I forget. This is a deal that I have not vetted. But if you
no trade machine,
just give me what it would look like if a player comes back for Jordan Poole, who you think is maybe not as dynamic offensively, but is more of a two-way player.
Yeah.
And instead of making 28. You're making 22.
18.6 for Anunoby.
Okay.
So you probably have to take Chris Boucher or whoever. Yeah, exactly. OPJ.
Yeah,
it's a homecoming.
Otto Porter. And now there's, instead of 28, that
turned 22.
22. There's $6 million plus the 25. And where are we? Subtract 31. Where are we at?
We're at about 390 right now.
We're pretty close to where we were this year.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And
there's my offseason.
Okay. Man. And so you got rid of your future that you paid for.
No,
and you brought
Jordan Poole.
Yeah, that's your future. I mean, you paid him to be your future, and you bring in Anunoby, who's got 2 years left, 1 year and a player option, so he's affordable. And OPJ, whatever he makes, it's probably around $2 or $3 million, no big deal. But did you get better? You might have gotten a little bit better, incrementally better. But you're going to be over the tax for the next 3 years.
You're the Warriors.
You're going to be over it.
Yeah.
So, and that really is what it comes down to, I think, when it comes to the Bob Myers question. Is Joe Lacob going to tell Bob, look, Bob, here's a contract for you. It's a whopper. We want you to stay. But, by the way, Bob, part of your job is going to be to slash and burn this roster because I'm sick of paying it.
You're going to be over the tax where you have Steph Curry on the team.
Most likely.
You should be.
If you want to win,
Yeah.
And it depends on what you pay Clay, because Clay's making 42 next year, and Clay's got to come way down off of that in the next year.
Don't you look at decisions like this? I always, sometimes I do, and maybe this is coming from fear. I don't know. But when you're making decisions in life, sometimes do you look at it and go, okay, instead of saying which one do we think is going to go best, let's play worst case scenario. What if the decision goes bad? What could I live with? Could you live with not giving Steph Curry's career everything you got? Everything you got. Because if the last few years of his career somehow turn into something that feels like, well, we saved money, so that was cool, and you're missing the playoffs or you're messing around in the play-in tournament, like, that's devastating. That would be devastating.
Well,
if that was the end of Steph Curry's career. Now,
what is the end of Steph Curry's career, though? And that's another question.
3-4 years, whatever it is.
Is it 7 years?
I doubt that. I mean, well into his 40s.
How long do you, quote, owe it to Steph to chase championships at the expense of $400 to $450 million a year?
Right now, I would answer that in this moment as the rest of this contract.
So you owe him 3 more years of the heck with my pocketbook. And all the investors we have, we're going to spend $450 million a year so that we can be a 6 seed?
Well, and you could. But
I'm playing devil's advocate.
Yeah, I don't know that they're going to be a 6 seed. I know we've all decided that that's like the best they can do now. I totally disagree. You got a team that lost its culture and still found a way to be the 6 seed. And made a deal to where their roster was very, very similar to what it was the year before when they won a championship, and then they won a round against the 3 seed. Can the Warriors be the 3 seed next year? Yeah, maybe. It's not like the Western Conference is loaded with amazing teams. It's actually rather filled with parity, I would argue. So I'm not making decisions on what the Warriors can be in terms of a seed right now. What I would not be, and by the way, if you are going to max out for the remainder of Steph Curry's contract, you can kind of make that decision to a degree year to year. You certainly need to do it next year because Steph showed you he's still an elite player. So right now, yes, chips, middle of table next year.
Joe Lacob, $450 million.
No.
You got to pay that.
No.
Because that's what chips in the middle is.
No, I just showed you what chips in the middle is.
Yes, but at the expense of, sorry, Mr. Lacob, I know you believe in Jordan Poole, and you're a guy who thinks that Jordan Poole can be a 1, so you're going to get rid of Jordan Poole for 2 years of Anunoby and a mostly broken down former champion Otto Porter Jr.? Is that really what you're going to do?
You're telling me it saves me $80 million and gets me better on defense?
But what do you like in 2027?
I'm not worried about 2027 right now.
Well, it's because you're not Joe Lacob.
Right.
If you're Joe Lacob, you should be worried about that.
No, you're
asking Mr. Lacob to spend $450 next year on a team that was 50-45 this year. Darn right, the epitome of mediocrity.
You're darn right I am.
Yeah, and that's a big ask.
And they made money. They made money.
Are you sure?
No.
Yeah. I mean,
they did. If you start talking about his asset, yes.